The Italian Wine Podcast is the community-driven platform for Italian wine geeks around the world. Support the show by donating at ItalianWinepodcast.com. Donate €5 or more and we'll send you a copy of our latest book, My Italian Grape Geek Journal, absolutely free. To get your free copy of My Italian Grape Geek Journal, click Support Us at ItalianWinepodcast.com or wherever you get your pods. Grazie mille.
Welcome to this special Italian Wine Podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinepodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in.
Swirl, sniff, sniff, sip, sip, and spit. Once again, here we go. Swirl, sniff, sip, sniff.
Okay, hello everybody. Buonasera a tutti. My name is Stevie Kim and welcome to Italian Wine Club on Clubhouse. Today's Thanksgiving Day. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And we are still trying to come off our comatose state of the Thanksgiving party at the office. So, ciao Anna, come stai?
Ehi, ciao. Ciao,
Hi.
Stevie.
Long time
Tutto
no
bene, grazie.
Long time no see.
Yeah, exactly.
We were just with Anna at the Gita Scolastica. We were doing some very serious deep dive. I think we've tasted about 120 wines of Verdicchio, di Castelli di Jesi, Voldicchio di Metellica, Lacrima, di Moro d'Alba, and then Rosso Conero. About 120 wines. We've seen about 60 producers. It was very, very intense in 4 days. So I just saw Anna just a few days ago, actually. And today's the Ambassadors Corner, Thanksgiving edition. And it's a fireside chat with Jacopo Maniaci. Anna, tell us a little bit about why you've chosen Jacopo as your favorite producer today.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I was at Gita Scolastica at Etna. For Taormina Gourmet. Yes.
Okay, great.
So, and then press tour to the wineries of Etna. And one of the producers we visited was Tenuta di Fessina, which was absolutely fascinating. And, one of my biggest impressions of Etna tour was Etna Bianco. I didn't ever expect Etna Bianco wines to be of such a high quality. We tasted a number of wines of different producers from smaller to bigger, from pioneer like Salvo Fozzi to new wave producers. So it was really fascinating, and I thought it would be great to invite Jacopo for Ambassadors Corner and discuss a bit about beautiful wines, about Caricante grape, about the area, just basically about everything.
Yeah, and we've just come from the trip from Marche where we saw the ageability of these lovely white wines of, above all, I suppose, Verdicchio. So it will be very interesting to understand the ageability of Caricante as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And plus, in addition to everything, Jacopo is a great speaker. He's really great at telling wine stories. So it should be a very joyful interview.
Yeah, so what are the learning objectives that we should expect from this call today?
Well, honestly, I just wanted you guys to hear Jacob's stories because it was such a pleasure. So that he shares them with all of you also. But we cannot miss the topic of factors of quality of Etna Bianco. This I would like to discuss as well, and also perspective on markets outside of Italy.
Okay, very good. I didn't introduce Anna because everybody knows who's Anna by now on the Italian Wine Podcast. This is like your fourth interview, maybe?
I think it's sixth. I counted yesterday.
Oh my goodness, Anna! Wait a minute, hold on 1 second. Congratulations. I think you've done more than any of the other ambassadors. My goodness. Congrats. And thank you so much for doing this. Very excited. Your interviews are always punctual and we learn so many things from the call. So I'm going to just leave the floor to you and I'll come back maybe towards the end of the call, or maybe can fill in. Because today's Thanksgiving, so I'll be on my way back home to do the Thanksgiving dinner as well at home, not just at the office. So, okay, alrighty, I'm over to you, Anna.
Grazie mille, Stevie. Have a great evening, and I like to welcome Jacopo to the interview, to this podcast, to the Clubhouse. So just a very short, brief introduction. So because Jacopo is obviously a very young person, but there is quite a large bio, so I would like to shorten it a bit and let Jacopo tell mostly about himself. So he has been working in the winery Tenuta de Fessina since 2014, and the project was actually born in 2007. It was founded by Silvia Maestrelli, a Tuscan producer and pioneer on the Volcano. So we'll speak about it a bit later. So Jacopo is actually from Sicily. So he graduated from University of Messina in Sicily. He got a master's degree at University of Gastronomic Science in Pollenzo, Cuneo. And his family is in restaurant and breeding in the mountains of Nibrodi, but he lives in a winery since 2017, taking care of the whole project Tenuta de Fessina. So, ciao Jacopo, come stai?
Buonasera a tutti, I'm very good, thank you.
So, could you please tell us, as an introduction, what exactly, can you say just a few words about your project, the Tenuta de Fessina? Or what's the correct? Is it Fessina or Fessina?
Who knows? Still today, a lot of people are saying Fessina, but actually the original name of the hamlet of the estate, historically talking, is Fessina. So personally, I say Fessina, but I don't really get offended if someone says Fessina.
Okay, so could you please tell us a short story behind Tenuta de Fessina estate, how it was possible to get these vineyards, and what's how it is working with these old vines for you?
Absolutely. So you have to know that, as you mentioned earlier on, the estate has been founded by Silvia Maestrelli, and she was a Tuscan winemaker. She was already owning and making wine in Tuscany with the family company, which is called Villa Petriolo. And back around 2005 and 6, she actually met Salvo Foti, that you mentioned before. And actually, Salvo was the person who showed Silvia the estate for the first time, and she fell in love with Mount Etna, and she decided to produce wines here. So she left Tuscany and she moved here. Silvia unfortunately died a few years ago, but the legacy is still running on with us today, and the family as well of Silvia. The interesting part is that she bought the estate, which at the time was 5 hectares. Today it's around 17, but the core that she bought was around 5, and today it's increased a little bit. It's around 9, and it's located on the northern side of Mount Etna, on the northern slope, which is mainly recognized for Nerello Mascalese production. Unfortunately, she bought the estate, and this was almost a nightmare for all of us, because she bought it from 12 different owners, and they were all Sicilians, all relatives, and all quite old. So as you can imagine, we had such funny days at the lawyer office, office making the deal. We lost more than a year dealing with them, trying to convince them, and finally in the beginning, actually the 7th of October 2007, she bought the estate. Right after the purchase, the most difficult thing for all of us was to understand which was the composition in the vineyard, because she bought such an old, fragmented, let me allow the word messy vineyard, because all the 12 different owners just planted and propagated and grafted and replanted vines for 100 or 200 years without any or very few registered documents. In fact, the only document that I own still today, it's split up in two small parcels. One it's certified 1932 and the other one is certified 1920, which means that the average age in the field, it's all bush wines, so Alberelli, it should be around 90 plus years old, which is not really true. Even in the beginning, walking into the vineyard was clear, even by sight, that the vineyard itself was mixed up. So vines with different ages and different varieties as well, which is a classic feature of old Sicilian or Southern Italian or Italian. I mean, on Etna is very, very common to walk into an old vineyard and find different varieties. It was the way of making wine at that time in the Palmentos, which is the traditional winemaking area, that required different varieties, but it was also tradition, it was heritage, and it was also a way to survive. Let me tell you, 100 years ago with a piece of land, it was vineyard plus pear, peaches, orchards, veggies, whatever, all included in the same area. So the biodiversity was very high. So when we arrived, all these crazy situation was in front of us, which was beautiful, and it is still today, but was very complex to understand the composition of this thing. So we worked with few professionals. I have to say thanks to Mr. Rocco Trefiletti, the University of Catania, the Agronomical Office of Mount Etna, because we were able to work with them for a while, dating back DNAs and varieties and clones. We ended up many years after, almost when I arrived, I would say, as GM. But let me tell you that today the 9 hectares are mainly made by Nerello Mascalese, which is the first raw lector here on the volcano, red grape variety, split up in at least 8 different DNA variations, so different rootstocks at the end. And the rest is split up by Nerello Cappuccio, which is a sort of back singer here on the volcano, perfect for blending for several reasons, mainly color. So the traditional Etna Rosso that you are drinking on your tables should be Mascalese and Cappuccio. It must be at least 80% Mascalese, but usually and historically there is some Cappuccio in. And I have at least 5 or 6 different varieties of white grapes, including Carricante, Catarratto, Minnella, Moscatella, Riesling, and probably stuff that I even have no idea of what it is, which is funny enough for me. Besides that, the estate owns another, between rent and owning, owns another 3 plus 4 hectares on the east and the southwest, where we focused everything on Carricante, so just white grapes, which is probably something that we invested really in the past. Around 2009, Silvia decided to invest in Carricante, which was almost unknown, besides Salvo Foti and Benanti family and other Barone di Villagrande and other few producers on the volcano. So we are working with Carricante since almost same time as Mascalese, I would say. And that's more or less the composition of the winery. Regarding fields, besides that, we have a beautiful 17th century Palmento, which is the estate today, all renewed, but you have been there, so you know, but quite original at the same time. It's quite untouched, and a good hospitality and wine tasting area, which today makes around 400-500 guests per month from March to October. So we have a lot of stuff to do here, as you can imagine.
Yeah, it's very impressive. I mean, there is no easy way to collect vineyards on Etna by just wait and hope for luck that some owners will actually sell it to somebody. to you. So yeah, it's a great job done. I had a big pleasure visiting the estate. And can you please specify which are your duties in the Tenuta de Fessina? What you do? I know
Who
you're a
knows, Anna?
multitask person.
Who knows? I still don't know nowadays what I do here at the winery. I do a little bit of everything. I should be the CEO, but sometimes I do feel like an old cat. Everybody knows me. I walk around the winery, staying on. I don't know. They just take care of me. Sometimes we are a great team. We are working together since 14 years. So I am the CEO, but at the same time, I should say thanks to so many people. Because the good feeling about having a winery, which is, let me say, small, medium size today, because we produce around 80,000 bottles nowadays, which is medium for Mount Etna. It's not like a large winery at all, but it's neither small. The good vibe is that we know each other since many, many years. So it's like, say in such a small company, sometimes you have the feeling of living also in a small family somehow. Not really. So similar, because you have the same feeling sometimes.
Yeah, thank you so much for explaining. I somehow feel you, because when it's a startup, when it's a young project, there's a lot to be done in order to grow. So yeah, and compliments on a great teamwork you do. And I should mention that your wines I first tasted not even at the estate, but I first tasted at the seminar run by Daniele Cernini, the Doctor of Wine. It was a lineup of Etna Rosso plus versus Burgundy. So it was Pinot Noir versus Nerello Mascalese wine, and your wine, Tenuta de Fessina, was in a pair on blinding tasting with Pinot Noir from Beaune, Côte de Beaune. And I noticed how fresh and how beautiful and just how elegant this wine is. And then when we visited you in the estate, we tasted this beautiful Caricante of 2012, which was of 12-year-old, very fresh, so beautiful, so lively. So my next question is, which are the factors of quality of wines on Etna, especially Etna Bianco wines, because that's what surprised me the most.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that probably today, first of all, I'm not really sure that we can 100% challenge Burgundy yet, because Etna is such a new, young and vibrant denomination. So we are still working on our path. Everything started around 2002 with the pioneers, which are De Grazia, Franchetti, and so on. But we are still very young, and we need to learn a lot. And I'm young as well. I'm 33 years old. And even though I'm running the winery since a while, I think that we are still learning a lot of things. Let me tell you that, first of all, probably the biggest challenge for a winemaker here on Mount Etna, but also all around the world nowadays, is to adapt yourself to a specific terroir in order to produce wines which are on the spot. So let me tell you that it was easy for me since the beginning, but at the same time, of course, very challenging, because Silvia decided to invest in Milo and Biancavilla for the Carricante, which are the original and traditional areas for Carricante making. You have to imagine that Etna is also not really comparable, in my opinion, to Burgundy, because this is a new wine region. Everything started around 2002, 2004 with the first pioneers like De Grazia and Franchetti. So we are still building our path to excellence. But at the same time, I think that the style here was very clear. We build up this state buying land in rigid and cold areas in Milo we start from 800 meters, and in Biancavilla, which is southwest, we start from 980. And the estate itself, which is on the north, again in Contrada Moscamento, it's actually a sort of natural ring. It's like a huge horseshoe, like an enormous amphitheater surrounded by two lava flows. So here at the winery, and I'm sorry again for the connection, but it's a problem of the weather. Everything is cold, rigid, rainy, cloudy, and misty. So the style of the wines was very clear since the beginning. I wasn't really able to produce wines, even with the intention to produce wines with muscles or gemmy or huge or with a bulky soul. The style that we created was lean and sharp and salty and vertical and iodine and elegant and austere and ethereal somehow. So I think that I'm just talking about my personal experience, but the style of Fessina, it's very clear, and I'm glad that you tasted the Contrada Moscamento with Cernilli. Probably also you and Stevie tasted an old vintage of the Apudara with the tasting of Salvo Foti the day earlier on, which was Etna 10 years. But again, talking about aging potential, I'm not really sure about which is the real aging potential of Etna wines, because maybe technology is still developing, and on the other hand, all the samples are quite young. Excluding 2 or 3 wineries, it's impossible to taste Etna for the 90s. And I don't know, but in my humble opinion, you need a license in order to talk about aging potential when you have wines with 10 or 15 years old. The winery is almost 16 years old, so I can tell you that my old Carricantes are in an outstanding shape, but who knows in 10 years? So it's delicate for me to talk about age potential. For sure, we are creating quality and interest, which is, in my opinion, also related to the market. The consumer taste is changing a little bit. When I ended up my studies in wine technology, the style was very different. It was more like, allow me the term, was a little bit more Bordolese, so it was a little bit more concentration and extraction and higher alcohol volumes. And nowadays, I'm going to say that probably a consumer out of 10 select a wine on a shelf thinking about wine pairing, a meal, or a dinner with friends. So the wines are, in my opinion, not all around the world. Of course, I'm a huge lover of Bordeaux and Bulgari, and of course, I'm a wine lover. But at the same time, in my opinion, if I see the general market, the average consumer, wines are more lean and fresh with lower alcohol, crispier, more gastronomic somehow. So I think that Etna is in the right spot also because the market allow us to stay in the right spot.
Italian Wine Podcast, brought to you by Mama Jumbo Shrimp.
Yeah, that's right. I kind of have this feeling about your wines. I feel that they are very much modern in style. They're vertical, they're a bit saline in the taste, very fresh and inspiring. Just the way you described it, with the sea influence, with beautiful acidity that keeps them alive for long, but also quite, I don't know. The Etna Bianco for me is probably the only wine that can be some of the fewer wines that could be compared with Champagne in the terms of acidity and complexity at the same time. So for me, your wines are very much as a new wave of Etna wines. So maybe because you're looking out what's out there on the market. Maybe it's your own interest in the wine, so you taste. So how do you what's your way to follow the trends? How you understand where you should lead your style of the wine, let's say, where you should be going, what's going to be in the next 5 years? What are your feelings about it?
First of all, I want to say to all of you, including Stevie, that I celebrated Thanksgiving yesterday as well with some US friends, and like you in your recent tasting, we tasted at least 120 wines, but just yesterday. So right now I'm a little bit confused about which wine should be the perfect wine for a market, because I tasted so many good wines yesterday. It's difficult to decide, and it also goes on your personal mood. But at the same time, I don't think that you should, as a wine producer, you should follow the market style or follow the trend or the fashion of the wine in that specific moment. I think that you should have your own soul, which is also related to subjective characteristics. I really, at that time, I mean, I really married the style of Tenuta di Fessina because Silvia was on the same spot as me, I would say. I wasn't really... so again, I studied in Piemonte, which is also in Langa also, which is also a special place for me, because I think that I'm really in love with Nebbiolo. So when I maybe the comparison with Nerello Mascalese, it's difficult to compare Mascalese again with Nebbiolo even more, but probably it's a thing which is close in my mind to a good Mascalese. It should be something Nebbiolesque, not really a Nebbiolo. So, and I think that Silvia was more or less on the same spot. So since the beginning, we bought Botte Grandi, 3,500 liters, no barriques, no new oak. The style was all about elegance and freshness, and again, austerity and verticality. But on the other end, of course, the wines are changing through the years a little bit. But I don't know, if you really want to make an iconic wine, I'm not really sure that you should follow a lot the market. You should just create something which is special. It's unique, and if you are really able to create a label which is outstanding, it should be like that, because it's able to go above the fashion. And at the same time, of course, it will fit it, like now for Etna, but I'm not sure that it's the wine that drives the fashion and not the opposite, probably.
Thank you for this explanation. But to make it short, if you had to explain the style of your wine in just one sentence, in a few words, how would you describe it?
Green like laser, something sharp, something that walks on a string. I don't know, something like that to me. It should be as clean, lean, and volcanic, and it should taste like a wine from higher altitude, like a wine from the mountains.
Yeah, beautiful. I hope you guys who listen to this interview, you will have a chance to taste this wine. It's really interesting experience. So quite sharp, quite vertical, very, very lean indeed. Can you please tell us a little bit about the hospitality facilities? It's a beautiful area, and I had a chance to look into some rooms to see how it is. But can you just explain how many rooms you have, if it's possible to come and stay? What else in the area? Do you have a restaurant? Any swimming pools? Like what's the estate is like?
So the estate was built up in the 17th century as a palmento, and you have to know that palmento, it's a Latin word that comes from pavimentum. It means floor, and is actually an old winemaking area introduced firstly by the Greeks during the 6th century before Christ on Mount Etna. So it's an old building, and it was born as a winery mainly for producing bulk wine. You also have to know that we have a really, really small train that goes all around the volcano. It actually circumnavigates the volcano. It's called Circumetnea. And the winery, it's one of the few ones with a train stop almost inside the winery. And this was made for a specific reason. The train was bringing wine barrels down to the coast. They built it up, the train, in 1894 just to ship wine down to the coast. So all the ancient wineries are almost on the way, or few ones nowadays, but at that time many.
I'm sorry, is this train still running somehow?
See, we don't know when, but it appears like in Harry Potter, more or less. Same feeling. Suddenly you have the train, but the schedule, it's you can guess the schedule nowadays. You can guess the schedule. The only one that I'm sure about it's the one in the morning, because it brings scholars down to the coast. So that's why you cannot miss that one. Besides that one, it's difficult to understand when. But we are working on it. We have a beautiful association called Strada del Vino dell'Etna. We are working on it. We want to make something special for tourism. We want to make something special for wine lovers. That also, it looks stupid, but of course, if you take the train to visit wineries, you don't really have to drive, which is a good plus, I would say, if you want to visit 3 or 4 wineries in a day. Again, talking back about the estate, so it's like we have a word in Sicilian, it's called borgo, but it's like a small hamlet, and we have few buildings all around, and in total today we have 6 rooms for accommodation, but we don't rent it as single rooms, we rent it as a private villa. The idea is to create conviviality around casa, so around a home. We don't really like the rhythm of the accommodation in a hotel or something like that. We want to have families, friends, or wine lovers all together in the same place, sharing the common areas and living a slow life, you know. At the same time, we do have a wine tasting department with 3 WSIT sommeliers working every day here at the winery from more or less from March to the end of November. Right now it's slowing down a little bit, you know. It's not really, it's low season right now, Mount Etna. It's cold and very, very rainy, so not the right moment. I suggest spring, summer, or autumn, right around the harvest is fantastic. And we do have a pool, salty, but it's just for me, not for the guest. I'm the only one allowed to swim in the pool, so sorry about that.
Lucky you. Well, okay.
Of course, I'm joking. Of course, you can taste the wines around the pool all year long.
Nice. That is great. But what else to do but visiting wineries? I mean, since you live there, you're probably the right person to ask. Is there any activities? What else would you do if you're not going around the wineries and tasting wines? What else to do on Etna?
Oh, you can wear a cape in the morning and plot against your enemies in cloudy and rainy days like this one, because there is not so much to do with this weather. But let me tell you that in between April and the end of October, Etna is fantastic. You can do so many things. I mean, I love hiking, first of all. The northern slope is my favorite area. I hiked it so many times up to the craters, and at least if you visit once the volcano, you should see the top, or at least get close to the top if you, of course, cannot reach the top. The other interesting thing to do, which I really, really like, is going and having a good picnic with friends on Sunday at the Alcantara River gorges, the Valle dell'Alcantara, which is an alluvional, a fluvial area almost at the border of the northern slope of Mount Etna. Fantastic, beautiful. You can do body rafting, you can just chill around the river, beautiful. And you can ski during winter, because we are, I suppose, I don't want to say something which is incorrect, but I think that we are the only place in Sicily where you can ski, or the only one where you can ski decently, at least in Sicily. So there is a beautiful ski center area on the northern slope in Piano Provenzano, where I go very often. My wife is very good. I'm horrible in skiing, but at least I try, and with awful results, but at least it's funny for her. And I'm gonna say that probably, of course, if you like walking, like, you know, there are so many, you can go around and picking mushrooms like porcini mushrooms, or looking for there are so many things to do on Mount Etna. Also, a really few good places where you can drink a glass of wine. We have few places like Il Buon Gustaio or Sandro Cavox with outstanding wine lists where you can taste all the wines of Mount Etna and even more. Of course, it's a slow life, but I think that all the winemakers or wine guys or girls that lives into a winery kind of, it's like a marriage, you cannot really do so much clubbing. it's countryside life.
That sounds beautiful enough, really. I think we just all imagined these beautiful days on the Mount Etna. No matter it's a good weather or bad weather, they say that nature has no bad weather. You either have good weather or best weather. That's it.
I was born in November, so I'm romantic. I like the fireplace on and rain, like severe rainfalls outside. That's my weather. I know that I will have so many haters from this thing, like summer people, but I'm a winter guy.
Nice. So, when you show your area to foreigners, there are a lot of them coming to see. What are the main things they should know? What are the main things you try to tell them about your area?
So, of course, making so much hospitality so you have to know that we started around 2016 with the accommodation and the hospitality, and at the beginning I was alone with Silvia, so everything was very craft and sincere somehow and pure. And I tried through the years, even though nowadays it's a big machine, to keep that original feeling alive, which is conviviality and which is sharing something with your guest, because it's really important, in my opinion, besides the fun, and of course those people are coming at the winery to enjoy a day in countryside, having lunch and drinking wine, and they don't want too much pressure on them, of course, but it's really important, in my opinion, to create a little bit of a didactic side to those people. So to me, since the beginning, was very important to allow me the term educate in the meanwhile of the fun, those customers. So I think that it's very important for us to communicate what Etna is today. So, and Fessina, it's a lucky winery because we have we grow grapes all around the 3 different fields of Mount Etna, so north, east, and southwest. So when you visit the estate, we have a beautiful 3D map, and I will show you, me or my collaborators will show you which is the shape of the DOC, why the north is the north, why the east is so new, and then we have the Valle del Bove and the new craters, and why the Etna Bianco Superiore is that way, and why the southwest side is that way. So, I mean, in the meanwhile of the whole experience, we really try to communicate what Mount Etna is, because if you have enough fun and if you have a good experience, I think that you will convert yourself in an ambassador for the winery around the world. So I think that we are really trying to communicate the brand Etna. That's the main spot for us, besides the wines themselves, because when wine it's good, and I hope that our wines are good, they doesn't really need too much explanation. I'm not a big fan of infinite text sheets or stuff like that. I want to tell you the story behind the wine, the terroir, and why Mount Etna makes those specific wines. I will not bore people with long, pretentious explanations.
Well, Volcano is obviously a dangerous place to live, but somehow when you're in the area, it feels so peaceful, and this is a very a big contradiction for me. How would you describe why this is so peaceful, even though on the back of your mind you kind of know that you're on volcano and anything can happen? I mean, why is it so peaceful
I'm gonna say something crazy, but I don't think that this place is more dangerous than other places. I mean, Of course, I'm aware that there is a huge, massive, active volcano few steps away from my house, but at the same time, I really never felt completely in danger. I think that, first of all, I live on the northern slope, which is the safe. Let me touch wood in this moment, but it's the safest place. I will never probably, maybe I could, but I will not really invest around the Valle del Bove, Zafferanetnea area, because that's shaking a little bit too much in the past year. So of course, maybe it's unpredictable. So maybe it's going to happen in million years, or maybe less. But I think that all the Etna people will respond to you in the same way. We wouldn't be here without the volcano, and we don't really consider the volcano as something dangerous. It's the opposite. We consider the volcano as something that it's a gift for all of us. So, of course, certain nights you wake up because it's shaking a little bit or it's making noises. It sounds like fireworks sometimes or stuff like that. But I'm completely accustomed to it. Moreover, I have a warehouse which is 30 meters far from my house with several bottles of wines. So I think, and moreover, the insurance, it's horrible on Mount Etna. If you build up a winery, avoid or choose a good insurance, because the only way for me in order to sustain a lava flow would be cover myself with the lava flow into the winery. So there are few reasons to love this volcano, but there are also few risks to join, which is having a bad insurance, for instance.
Yeah, I imagine that. But there was a new eruption on Etna just a few weeks ago. Did it somehow influence your state or any of your states, or do you worry about those eruptions at all?
Yes, I lost my flight back from Milan because I was in Milan for business, and the flight back was delayed or moved on in another airport in Sicily, which is Como. So I will say that the most annoying part of my whole experience on Mount Etna, besides maybe in certain vintages I have some small damages on the bunches, mainly on the east, because the southern east crater, it's the most active right now. And you have to know that it erupted many times. I think that in 2021 we made, in 2021 we made the record. It erupted more than 70 times, which is annoying because you have a lot of ash rain into the streets, on the cars, roofs, and so on. And it's difficult to manage. And at the same time, of course, if you have a severe eruption, you can have solid stuff flying in the air. I'm talking about stones and lapilli, so you can imagine how much damage you can have. But this is quite rare. It's not something super common. The really painful part is losing my flights, which happens very, very often because of the ash in the air. So they have to move the plane in another area, which is horrible because, it's not lovely to have a flight change.
Yeah, I can imagine. So in that sense, yeah, of course, it's very little pleasure. But let's move to a bit different topic about markets for Etna wines. Where do you sell the most, or what do you think are the most prospective markets for Etna wines, for Tenuta di Fessina especially?
So in Italy we have a single distribution, which is Compagnia del Vino, that it's owned by Antinori, Porroget, and Mr. Saverio Notari, which is very good. I think that Italy covers plus 30% of our markets nowadays. And another good spot, which is probably another 35% goes in the US through Vineyard Brands, which is our national importer. Besides that, we are in around 16 or 17 markets around the world. I think that so US, it's super fragmented. It's like Italy, so it depends where around the US, but probably the major cities like New York, LA, the East Coast, probably a little bit more. It's very well educated about Etna wine. So you can go there and because the it's difficult, but the perception of Etna between us, so wine people, wine lovers, it's let me allow, highly considered nowadays. It's trendy and it's cool, but if you travel a little bit around the world, you see how much work we have to do to sponsorship in a proper way the wines from the volcano. So there are few places which are very, very well educated. I think about Japan, for instance, Australia, of course, Europe, like UK. We do sell a little bit all around Scandinavian countries, Middle, Central Europe. I'm going to say that probably it's growing, but at the same time, it's so fragmented. I mean, you have to imagine that the whole DOC appellation makes a little bit more than 4 million bottles. So if you expand this number around the world, you see how much Etna it's at the end small compared to other numbers today. It's nothing, 4 million bottles. It could be a single winery in other areas of Sicily or even in Italy, of the world. So we are growing and dynamically, but at the same time, we take some, we need some time also for other reasons,
Yeah. Would you recommend any event that one could visit and maybe taste a number of wines from Etna, besides visiting each winery, of course? I mean, there's Taormino Gourmet, but it's not really focused on only Etna wines. Mm-hmm. So is there anything in the area that you would recommend for wine enthusiasts or wine experts, wine professionals, to really understand all the different styles of Etna, to see different producers?
Absolutely, yes. So for professionals, journalists, like wine professionals, I'm going to recommend Etna Days, which is sponsored by the consortium of DOC Etna Wines, and it goes around the beginning of September. Fantastic event. You can taste all the wineries. We gather on in a single place, and you can taste all the wines. And after that, you have a few days of course, master classes and.
I guess the connection is better.
So yeah. I was saying.
Can you start over the same phrase, please?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I was just saying that you have wine tastings in the same place with all the wineries. So you gather on all the different wineries and you can taste the wines. You have several master classes, and there are a few days also dedicated to visit the wineries as professionals. We made a fantastic wine dinner this year at Fessina with other producers like Monteleone, Federico Graziani, and Tenuta Bosco. It was lovely. Regarding like wine lovers, generally talking, I do suggest Contrada dell'Etna, which is around April, end of April usually, right after Vinitaly. And you literally taste more or less all the Etna wineries. Is it here in Castiglione di Sicilia, where I also live, and 3 days event, outstanding. You can taste all the wines that you want. The first day it's from samples, so new vintage samples, and the other 2 days are about like current releases. So really funny, lot of winemakers. So I suggest those two.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's very valuable information, I guess, for enthusiasts to really look for these events and then apply in advance. But is it only for wine professionals, or do you have to be a wine journalist, or it's for basically for anybody who applies?
So the first event, which is Etna Days, is just for professionals. And the second one, Contrada, is for everyone. You see professionals, but you see also, you can buy the ticket and get in.
Okay, great. So that is fantastic. I would love to go. After this experience of 3 days on Etna, it looks very fascinating to taste more, because you cannot get enough of Etna. I mean, as much you get to taste, you understand how much more there is left. and I at least I want to come back and do some more tastings, some more events with Etna producers is absolutely beautiful. So you guys, if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. There is one question from Dante. So he thanks you, Jacopo, for the great stories, for the tell about how are your sales to Scandinavia today? Is it if there are any collaborations that do and what these collaborations look like? That's the question.
First of all, thank you, Dante, for the question. I'm working through the monopolies in Norway and Finland, and I do have a national importer in Sweden, which is Gastrovinum, Elizabeth. I think that the Scandinavian countries is very good for me for two reasons. We do produce just organic wines here at the estate, which is highly demanded in Scandinavian countries, and I work well with few tenders through the years as well. In Denmark as well, actually, I should mention Amken and Biolo, which are our importers as well. But I think that even Scandinavian countries, it almost grew up with Etna. It's increasing numbers every year, and I see much more development in education, but also in passion about Sicilian wines in the Scandinavia, more and more every year, way more compared to 10 years ago. But again, we were talking about the events and Etna, but you have to think that everything is growing right now, Mount Etna. I mean, when I started, or better, when we started back in 2007, probably the number of wineries was around 40 or 50. Today we are 166, but with the DOC appellation, but more than 300 all around the volcano, also without the DOC appellation. So the numbers are expanding so dynamically through the years, and therefore also the markets are absorbing and growing more with us. It's not just Scandinavian countries to me. All my markets are growing decently. This year probably a little bit less because, as you probably many of you knows, there is a little bit of contraction on demand, but with those numbers we are doing fine.
Thank you. That's really interesting. And can you speak a few words about food and wine pairing, about some typical dishes of your region, Mount Etna? I mean, Sicily is very diverse. Yeah, it's so. I mean, it's so big, and it's just like a continent. So I don't speak about the other areas, but on Etna, what is the most typical dish, or maybe on the north of Etna or southeast? Can you give us some ideas?
So I was born on the seaside in a small town, let's say Messina, that it's almost known. I'll say it's on the northern tip of the island. It's one of the capitals.
Is it somewhere to Patti?
Say it again, sorry.
Is it close to Patti somewhere?
It's really close to Patti, exactly.
Okay, then I've been to your area, and I love it. I love it so much. What I remember was a sausage with finocchio seeds. Something really delicious. Mm-hmm.
So you have to know that I have my heart is split up in two, because I spend a huge part of my life here on the mountains, but I was born in front of the sea. So if I think about something that reminds me, like, I don't know, hiding below my grandmother table while she was cooking and my mother was there, I think about a very simple dish that you can do also home. It's traditionally, and it comes from poor people heritage. I don't know how to say it properly in English. Sorry, I don't want to offend anybody, but it's made with sardines, and in Sicilian we call it masculini in tamaglia, which literally means the small sardines which are trapped into the web. And you take those, you make a little bit of sauté with garlic, with a little bit of wild fennel, and you put the pasta in, possibly spaghetti. So you make a little sauté with the sardines, lemon zest, a little bit of garlic, tomatoes if you want, a little bit of wild fennel. If you want to add mint, I'm not usually, but you could. And you put the spaghetti in, and in the meanwhile, you prepare some crispy breadcrumbs. I like it to season it and to give some flavor of citrus in it. So you can put, but just at the end, because otherwise it gets bitter, a little bit of lemon zest or orange zest, and you put it on the spaghetti at the end. So that's one of my favorite dishes. And it's very simple and it's super cheap. Of course, the fish on the coast is outstanding. So we have so much fish all around. Regarding the mountains, probably I'm going to. Let me say that this area is very well known, the Nebrodi Natural Park, which is the huge mountainous area. It's the biggest natural park in Sicily, and it's really facing Mount Etna. We have the Suino Nero dei Nebrodi, which is something between a wild boar and a pork, and we breed it. My father actually owns a company that breeds wild porks from the Nebrodi, and I'm gonna say that probably you sold me the salsiccia, Anna, because I was saying salsiccia, but let me tell you that probably the ribs of the black pork, seasoned it a little bit with some spicy stuff and a little bit of honey into the oven for like 6 or 7 hours. If you have a slow Sunday or something like that, very low temperature, like 120, 130 Celsius, and you can do a little bit of wild veggies with it, outstanding as well. And one goes with the white wine and the second one with the red wine, so you have a combo now.
It's impossible to listen to you if you're hungry. So,
but you have to know, Anna, that I didn't have lunch today because I was working in the barrel cellar for almost the whole day. So I'm talking like that because I'm starving right now. That's why I'm so passionate about food.
Okay. But we have just a few more questions and we'll let you go. So there is Andrei.
I'm not in rush at all. I'm sorry, I'm not in rush.
Okay. So there is a question from Andrei. Ciao, Andrei. Can you please unmute yourself and ask a question?
Good evening. My name is Andrei Vaskilin. I'm Italian wine ambassador from Latvia. And I have, let's say, 2 questions. Okay?
Sì, Andrei,
hello?
please.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, you have very excellent, beautiful, pure English, right? As well as I understand, you sell your wine abroad, so you are export. So my question, why, maybe I'm wrong, but anyhow, maybe I'm wrong, but no. Why is your website, actually, as many of famous, iconic wine producer, is only in Italian and no English?
So, Andrei, first of all, thank you for your compliment. My mother paid me a master degree in English, so it must be good. Otherwise, she will beat me off. The second thing is that, yes, we sell around, so I learned a little bit traveling, because I take care of the export and I'm also the brand ambassador. But our website is also actually in English. You should find it up on the right side. But right now we are under construction because the website is new. So certain days, and probably the day that you went in wasn't giving you the option in English because we are working on it. But usually, of course, you can do the English.
Okay. I just opened it. So okay. I hope everything will be okay. But again, the situation in Italian wine industry is very unusual because many of the wineries, they don't have just English because how to promote yourself internationally if you're all
actually
websites.
Andrei, we have more English speakers rather than Italian speakers here at the winery, so I should erase Italian and leave just English. That would be way better.
Okay, let's come back to my main question.
Okay.
Actually, you have one of my favorite wine, very rare, very unusual, 100% Nerello Cappuccio. especially I might say vintage 2015 was really, really crazy. With a so low level of alcohol, I remember 12.5 or even 12. It was so complex. My question, could you just describe the idea, how you started to make this wine, and maybe challenges? Because again, 100% Nerello Cappuccio is very unusual. Okay,
So
thank you.
I'm sorry, Jacopo. We have only 1 minute left until the closure of the session. So could you please answer this question briefly?
Absolutely. So we were lucky because we purchased the field of the Apudar on the southwest, including 1 hectare of Nerello Cappuccio. That's why we started producing this wine itself, because otherwise it's very rare to have a mono field of Nerello Cappuccio. So it was a gift, and we are still producing Gleneo, which is, as you mentioned before, one of the few cases of Nerello Cappuccio on the market.
Okay, thank you. And there is the last question from Valentina. Do you have plans for new vineyards in other slopes? She means east, especially because she thinks your whites are stunning.
Thank you so much, first of all, Valentina. I'm always replanting a little bit every year. Here in Rovitello, I planted almost 2 hectares this year. In Milo, we are planning to add a little bit of space, even though there is not so much room right now, so it's difficult. But, working with old vines means also having a strategy of regenerating the vineyard through the years. So we do a lot of mussel selection, thanks to a guy in France that helps us, and I'm replanting the original clones of the core vineyard every year, more or less all around.
Thank you so much. I guess we're running out of time right now. Yeah, Laika or Stevie, would you jump in?
Stevie, are you still there? Okay, I guess I'm going to close the room. So before we close the room, I also wanted to mention that next week we're going to have a Clubhouse on November 30 from another Sicilian producer. So his name is Salvino Benanti, to be interviewed by Marco Nordio. It's actually all the way from New Zealand, so that's why we're having a Clubhouse in the morning at 9:30 a.m. So that's it for today, and thank you so much for your time. And yeah, that's it. We'll put it up on the Italian Wine Podcast. Ciao, everyone.
Thank you so much, Jacopo.
Grazie a tutti, ciao.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.